Hey guys, Nabil here. Well, the King of Fighters 15 has been out for a few weeks, and unlike many other fighting games, KOF 15 came out on a number of systems at the same time, which is great. So we have different consoles, we have the PC version, and in this video, we're going to compare these released versions and see which one is the better or the ultimate version of the King of Fighters 15. Now, the versions I'm going to talk about are PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X, and the PC. Now I know the game came out on Steam, Epic Game Store, and Xbox, but all that is considered PC. So before we get started, a gentle reminder to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you are notified whenever I drop a new video. For this comparison, we're going to look at 4 different aspects of the game: graphics, input lag, load-in, and online. Now we're gonna start with graphics, and I want to talk first about the PlayStation 5 version, described as the ultimate console, as the brand new console for this generation. And we're looking at the King of Fighters 15 on PlayStation 5, and it's actually the first version of the game I played was in PlayStation 5. The game looks stunning. It runs at a steady 60 FPS. It also has ray tracing to a very minimal degree. We'll talk about ray tracing when we compare that to Xbox and PC. The game runs solid, it plays great, it's very colorful, and it's beautiful. Now if you compare to the Xbox Series X, at first glance, the game looks identical on both consoles. They both running great, again, running at 4K and 60 frames per second. If you go, however, and look closely, and when I say look closely, literally I had to pause the game and put one side on each screen to be able to tell the difference. Slightly, the PlayStation 5 has an edge. The colors are a little bit more popping, and there's slightly more anti-aliasing on the PlayStation 5. If you look closely again, there's a little bit of rugged edges, as you can see here. If you look at Iori's hair on the Xbox Series X and on the PlayStation 5, there's a slight improvement. It looks slightly better on PlayStation 5. Now, if you run the game, you really don't notice these really small things. Now, let's look at the KO's climax, and if you look at it again side by side, you see that the PlayStation 5 has a slight edge in terms of colors. The Xbox Series X, while looking great compared to the PlayStation 5, the colors are a little bit washed out, and again, there's a little bit more rugged edges and aliasing. Again, I need to stress how close these two versions are. It really is really close, and you won't notice anything unless you're looking at a side by side, which is what I did for this video. Looking at the stages, they're all colorful, full of people. The characters on the background, most of them run at 30 frames per second. That's understandable to keep a steady 60 FPS for the main game. Now, speaking always about console, let's look at the PlayStation 4 version of the game. The PlayStation 4 version is right now the most populated version, is the most played version of the game. Now, obviously, the PlayStation 4 of the King of Fighters 15 runs at 1080p instead of 4K. But even that is not enough to run the game in its optimal setting, in its way on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox. See, while the game runs at a steady 60 frames per second, and the animations are intact, the game looks fine, it plays great, it's a steady 60 frames per second, the backgrounds are an actual downgrade from the other console versions. And the reason of that, if you look at them, you'll see that they're less populated. Now let's take a look at the Pow Pow Cafe. Pow Pow Cafe looks beautiful on the PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X. There are people watching, there's the band, there's the Richard Meyer in there, and there's the people sitting at the cafe. Now, if you look at the PlayStation 4 version, it is really limited in terms of how many people are watching. There's literally nobody sitting on those tables, unlike on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and the PC version. So, and this is going to be a pattern here. Whenever we look at stages where there's spectators in the background, you'll see a big difference. Take a look now at the Sound Beach stage. As you can see, There's still Michael Max is still in there on the PlayStation 4, but if you compare that to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series version, you'll see there's absolutely less people spectating the match. Now, this might not be important if you are into just the game for its fighting mechanics and or competitive style, but if you are in, trying to get the best looking version of the game, the PlayStation 4 is currently not the best looking one. The Sahara is also another option of how limited the background is compared on the PlayStation 4 compared to the other versions. As you can see, the prisoner from Metal Slug is still in the back, but is a little bit further than the other versions, and that's so they can limit how they render him, and that does not take from the rendering power of the console, unlike the other versions, PlayStation 5, PlayStation and Xbox Series X and PC. Even the background prisoners on the background, you see that a little bit less than the other versions. Again, it does not change the gameplay, it does not change how the game plays and all the awesomeness that you can get with the King of Fighters 15. But again, if you are looking into the best looking version, PlayStation 4 is clearly not the one. Now let's talk a little bit about PC, and that's subjective because the PC will run depending on the hardware. The game offers resolution up to 4K. There was no 1440p in the game, but that was patched a couple days ago, which is great. So people who have the QHD monitors can now run the game at the maximum resolution that their screens allow. The game also allows you to have ray tracing, and this is really what's been bothering me, and it's been taking so long of my time trying to understand what's happening here. See, ray tracing on the PC is by default turned off. You can turn it on, and I did when I started testing the game on an RTX 2080 Ti. Now, looking at all the stages, there are only 2 stages that uses ray tracing, and that's Province Main Street Night and the training mode slightly, but Province Main Street Night version is the one that has ray tracing. And the thing is, it's not much. It's basically reflection of the car headlight, reflection of the statue, reflection of the door light, as you can see here, and it looks beautiful on PC, right? However, it really is brute forced ray tracing. It had an impact on my test. Again, this is running on a 2080 Ti i7 9th generation, 32 gigs of RAM, which is plenty to run the game and with ray tracing. However, there were hiccups in this stage and frames were dropping. It was dropping to 50s, 53, 54, which does not make any sense. Now, here's the crazy thing is I upgraded my PC to a RTX 3080. And since then, although RTX is turned on in the options, I can't get it to show on the game. I just can't. I've tried, I reinstalled the game, changed the settings. For some reason, it's very inconsistent. Sometimes it shows up, sometimes it doesn't. I'm not sure if this last update had to do anything with it. I am not sure, but it's really inconsistent. And honestly, it takes such a toll on the graphic cards that it's really not worth it. But speaking of ray tracing, SNK said that the Xbox version and the PlayStation 5 also have ray tracing, but comparing these versions, it's really minimal, and again, it's only on the Province Street nighttime stage, which is again not that big of a deal if you don't have ray tracing enabled on PC. Now, looking at all these versions, graphically, if we're talking, it's difficult to just put the PC with the consoles at the same time, but if we're talking about raw power, raw graphics, obviously the PC looks much better. You can even add more anti-aliasing using the NVIDIA panel or the AMD panel, and the game looks fantastic on PC. In terms of consoles, the PlayStation 5 looks the best, and again by a small margin, over the Xbox Series X. Both consoles look great, and of course the PlayStation 4, it's understandable, it's the least powerful machine of all these ones that I'm testing here, and it's looking saying the worst is not really a good good adjective. It's not really the worst, but it's looking worse than the others, and of course it's running at 1080p compared to 4K for the other versions. Now, graphically, again, PC comes first, followed by the PlayStation 5, followed by Xbox Series X, and finally the PlayStation 4. Now let's talk about a big one. input lag. So what is input lag? Well, input lag is so important to fighting games. It is basically the delay between your GPU sending a frame to your monitor and the monitor actually displaying that frame. So the higher the input lag, the more problematic the situation is because you have less time to react to what's happening on screen, right? So that's pretty much what input lag is, and as you know, it's a big thing. And when we talk about fighting games, now I don't have the tools to actually check the input lag myself, but Nigel Woodall, who's been doing a fantastic job actually looking and measuring input lag for all major releases, did the same on the King of Fighters 15, and the results are stunning and crazy to say the least. We're gonna start with the PlayStation 5 version, which is the version I was planning to main and play the game mainly on. Now, PlayStation 5 has an input delay of 90.67 milliseconds, which translates to a massive 5.44 frames. That is huge. That is 5.44 frames pretty much gone, and you need to react without it. PlayStation 4 Pro has a 68.66 milliseconds, which translates to 4.12. PlayStation 4 on PlayStation 5 has 69.39, which translates to 4.16 frames. And the Xbox Series X, at the lowest for all consoles, has a 55.22 milliseconds, which translates to 3.3 frames of input lag. Now, PC is on another level here. PC is actually at a crazy 33 milliseconds, which is literally less than 2 frames of input lag. What that means is that the PC version is superior in terms of input lag, in terms of how much time you have to react to things. Unlike the PlayStation 5, which actually takes a long time for you to see what's happening and shorter time for you to react to what's happening on screen. Now, this might not be a big deal if you're only playing against PlayStation 5 people, but the PlayStation 5 version has crossplay with the PlayStation 4, so that automatically when you play against a PlayStation 4 player and you're playing from the PS5, you are at a disadvantage, a massive disadvantage that's gonna cost you. This is KOF. We're talking about frame traps, we're talking about frame moves that take 1 frame, 2 frames. So that is really, really unfortunate, as again, the PlayStation 5 looks the best in terms of for consoles. It's convenient to play on your console. However, the massive input delay is a problem, and this is not the first PlayStation 5 games to have that. Now, we looked at Guilty Gear Strive, had the same issue, and it seems like this is more from Sony's side. Now, Guilty Gear Strive was able to change things up and upgrade and fix, to a degree, the problem. Hopefully, SNK will be able to at least get that input delay similar to the PlayStation 4. So for the category of input lag, PC is obviously the winner, followed by the Xbox Series, followed by PlayStation 4, and finally, unfortunately, the PlayStation 5. Now let's talk about loading, and it's really straightforward. Now, both new consoles, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, boast about how fast their hard drive and SSDs are, and I put that to the test and see which one is faster. Compared that, of course, to the PlayStation 4 and the PC. Now, the PC is a little bit difficult because it really depends on the type of hard drive you are installing the game. Is it a normal hard drive? Is it an SSD? So it's kind of difficult to gauge how fast the PC. Now, in my experience, and I'm gonna get that out of the way, it took for loading an entire match with the characters and not from the select screen, but I'm going from the quick select, because that's the one that gives me the actual speed of how fast the hard drive is, which is from the training mode. So quick selecting characters and stage took about 9 seconds for me for my computer, and it's an SSD. Now, doing the same test on the other consoles, here are the results, and I'm going to be straightforward. So the PlayStation 4 running from a PlayStation 5, it took 13 seconds, and probably it's going to be slower running from an actual PlayStation 4 if it's not using an SSD, which is, unless it was modified to use an SSD. So it's probably going to take a bit longer. I unfortunately don't have that answer. I don't have the exact length of how long it takes, but it took 13 seconds for the PlayStation 4 version running on a PlayStation 5. The Xbox Series X took 9 seconds, and these results are consistent as I tried this test over and over again, and it took 9 seconds, similar to my PC. Now the PlayStation 5 here is the clear winner because it takes an amazingly fast 3 seconds. Yes, it takes 3 seconds to load an entire match with two new characters and a stage, which is blazing fast. Unfortunately, again, the input lag situation is really not helping the PlayStation 5 because that's what matters most. But yes, 3 seconds in this category when talking about loading, the PlayStation 5 is the winner and by far. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is online, and I'm not going to talk about the netcode because, as you know, all the versions use state-of-the-art rollback netcode for the King of Fighters 15, and it works amazingly. It works great. It's awesome. We get to play against people in different countries, and it's amazing. But what we're talking about here is the community, how many people, how easy it is to get into online matches. And this is again going to depend on where you're located, what usually is the players around you, what kind of console they're gonna have. Now my test is done in Morocco, which means for me, going into this test, I was expecting the PlayStation 4/5 will have the more people, but I was a little bit surprised in the result. So here's the thing. Now, when playing on the PlayStation 4 or 5, I have no problem finding matches. There's a big community of people around me playing the game on PlayStation 4 mainly. Now, the problem is I'm playing on a PlayStation 5, so I have to use the PlayStation 4 version. Otherwise, I am at a disadvantage because of the high input lag of the PlayStation 5, which hopefully they're gonna fix. The PC version is a little bit problematic right now. In fact, there's a matchmaking issue that SNK has addressed, and they are potentially and hopefully working on a solution. It takes a long time to find people on PC, even though I know a lot of people around me have the PC version. Now, I found a workaround which is completely crazy. So in the online option on the PC version and all the other consoles, you can choose whether you want to fight people on the same region or all. Now, by default, I always put all because I want to fight people outside my region as well. When I do that, I don't find any match. It takes sometimes 20 to 25 minutes before I get a single match. Switching to same region, I get constant matches, which is it's completely reversed, and it's wrong, and they're probably gonna fix that. Some people I did share this fix with people online, but some people this did not help them. So it really seems like it's a case-by-case scenario here. But I was able to get this done, and I can actually get matches now, which is great. Now here's the surprise. I tried the Xbox version, and I know my community here in Morocco. Not a lot of people have the Xbox console, and obviously not the Xbox game, the Xbox version of KOF 15. However, I actually got a lot of matches. It was as many as the PlayStation 4, if not even more on that day. But I know there's more people around playing on PlayStation 4. So the Xbox version, there's this rumor going on that there's nobody playing the game. It's a dead community. There's nobody playing the game on Xbox. It absolutely is not true. The game on Xbox looks amazing, and there are a lot of people online, and you can get matches, so many matches, both ranked and casual as well as room matches. So who is the clear winner looking at all this? Now, from my perspective, I wished it was the PlayStation 5. I have a brand new spanking PlayStation 5. I got one, and it was crazy to get one, and I wanted to play the game on it. But I can't because the high input lag is a big issue. It's really a big problem. You know, at almost 5.5 frames difference is a lot of delay. That's a lot. So if I want to play on PlayStation, I have to play on the PlayStation 4 version, which I'm not happy about because I got used to the great graphics of the game on both PlayStation 5, Xbox, and PC. So that for me, it made me choose to go on PC, right? The Xbox version is also great. I have no complaints there. Slightly less good looking than the PlayStation 5 and PC, but really not by much. You really have to pause the game and look at the differences. It's that that close. It's really that close. The PlayStation 4, as I said, looks the worst, and that's normal because this is the old generation console, but the game plays well on all of them. PC, there are some hiccups here and there sometimes when doing a climax. This is again a known issue that SNK is working on, but for me right now, I'm playing on PC. I found a lot of people online. I fixed that problem. The matchmaking works for me now, and it's just I'm having a blast. Now if I was not playing on a PC, the thing is I'm always on my computer doing videos, doing work, so it's easy for me to just launch the game from PC and enjoy it, and it's great that there are a lot of players. Now if I didn't have a PC, what would I be playing? I will definitely be playing the Xbox version more because it looks better. Now if I wanted to play against people in my country, I'll have to launch the PlayStation 4 version on PlayStation 5, and it's really sad that we don't have crossplay. But again, we can't have crossplay if we have this difference in input lag, because that's gonna put everybody, it's gonna put the PC version, obviously the one with the advantage. So just enjoy the game, play the one, buy the version that your friends that you want to fight and play online have, and enjoy this great King of Fighters version, the King of Fighters 15. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video from Neo Geo Now. Now don't forget to like and subscribe if you have not done so, and I would like to take this opportunity and thank my patrons for supporting the channel and making this content possible. Making daily videos, and especially the documentaries and lore episodes, takes a very long time and a lot of effort, and being able to get some support for these time-consuming tasks allow me to keep going and strive for more and better content. With that said, I want to give a big special shout out to Michael, Bryant Yard, Fahad Al-Suwaidi, Jacques Paul, and Berugadono, as well as special thanks to Shaka Asamia, Refugio Robles, Felipe Guimara, Jihao Ju, Muhammad Al-Blushi, Anthony Longino, Burned Retinas, Lily Wong Esmeralda, Goran, and Dangerman 1973. Those of you who are not yet Neo Geo Now patrons, I hope you will check my Patreon page where you can become patrons, helping the channel produce more videos, as well as receive special perks that are exclusive to patrons, like early access to videos, exclusive making-offs, and other SNK digital goodies. Link for the Neo Geo Patreon page is in the description below. So until next time, thank you for watching.